Hey there, it's been a while. Not to worry though, as this is as per my upload schedule, right? Well, today I'm going to attempt a hardcore Nuzlocke of Pokemon FireRed. Yes, just FireRed. With no type barriers and crazy difficult ROM hacks, it's just plain old FireRed. So let's get started by picking Bulbasaur. Wait, what? Normally I would always pick Squirtle in a Kanto playthrough, but this time we are getting serious. Kanto has many water types including good ones like Gyarados, Starmie, Slowbro and many more. Picking Charmander would mean the first two gyms would be difficult, so to trivialize Brock and Misty, I choose Bulbasaur. After getting the Pokeballs, I catch a Rattata at Route 1, Ape the Monkey at Route 22, P the Pigeon at Route 2 and B the Weedle at Viridian Forest. With this bunch of early game monsters, I fight the optional rival battle so I can take my revenge for the first battle. The first gym leader is Brock, who is just a matter of 2 Wind Whips from Bulbasaur. Now, early game in Nuzlocke are tough because you don't have much resources and your Pokemon are low leveled. An example for this is the situation Pidgey gets put in. He is poisoned and the 4 icons use Warp, which makes me unable to switch out. This was a death for certain, but the icons decides to be dumb and spams Leer, so we survive with barely any HP left. After critting our next encounter, a random not so shady guy gives us a Magikarp for 500 Pokecoins. If you ask me, then he is the one getting scammed since this guy has no idea how broken Gyarados is. In Mount Moon, I get a Zubat and of course pick the Helix fossil. In Route 4, I catch Ro the Spearow, and yeah, Rattata was not the one helping me catch him this time. But Rattata was the one who killed him while I was training. Was not recording at the moment, but a crit quick attack one-shot Spearow from full health at -1 defense. It was never meant to be your run, Ro. Rest in peace. After some training, I fight my rival E. The battle starts off smooth with my Rattata knocking his Pidgeotto and my Pidgeotto knocking his Rattata. But if his Rattata had a Hyper Fang, it would have been a lot tougher. He then sends his Charmander, for whom I pivot to Magikarp on an Ember and next to Rattata, thinking he will use Scratch to avoid a potential burn. Not only did he not go for Scratch, but Ember also burned Rattata. My rat does not have guts, so this is looking bad. I switch to Zubat on an Ember and use Bite, which flinches. I next try to confuse him with Supersonic, but of course it will miss. Zubat is dead to another hit now, so I switch to Beedrill and she tanks the Ember decently. I use the unreliable Fury attack, which Beedrill hits 4 times, putting him in Blaze range. But even the highest roll from Ember in Blaze won't kill Beedrill. Unfortunately, the large bee breathes her last breath in flames and burns to death. Pidgeotto then comes and snipes the Charmander with a quick attack. Well, there goes my Alakazam killing machine. Making my way to Route 24, I catch a timid Caterpie and an odd Oddish in Route 25. After which it's time for another gym battle. This fight is just like Brock, but even though she kept healing her Starmie, we were never in danger to a crit because of the constant HP recovery from Leech Seed. After getting the second gym badge, I catch a Meowth at the Route 5 and henceforth I will only mention those encounters which I use for the future boss battles. Like Trioda Diglett who will carry us to Lieutenant Surge fight, or a 25% Drowsy in Route 11. Now, getting Drowsy was really lucky because Ekans sucks and I did not get an Abra at Route 24 or 25. Next is another rival battle at SS Ad, but this time Gyarados walled Charmeleon and the fight was easily won. After obtaining the ability to cut trees at the age of 10, I defeat Lieutenant Surge with just a Diglett. His Raichu did set up 2 rebel teams, but Diglett did not miss a single attack. But even if he had missed any of the 2 attacks, I still had Ivysaur and Groom at the back to help out. After reaching Lavender Town, I finally nicknamed my Raticate, after which I try to catch a Growlithe at Route 8. But that little dog barks and runs away. The next dog I encountered at Route 7 was much more courageous and I named him R. At Route 16, I can guarantee myself a Doduo because of the Dupes clause. And Doduo right beside the Celadon city along with Growlithe makes Erika a free badge. But none of it matters though because Golbat just solos her entire gym while they can't do anything. The only thing Erika's Pokemon accomplished was to paralyze the life-sucking bat. After this battle, the level cap skyrockets to 43 which grants us access to some major evolutions. And with this newfound power, Giovanni is beaten easily, mostly because of me being overleveled. Mostly. The same goes for the rival battle in Pokemon Tower. With the rival beaten, we can get an amazing encounter in Ghastly at Pokemon Tower. Even the Hunter won't evolve into Gengar, it still is an excellent Pokemon for FireRed. Bruh. At least with a thick club, Vac can do some insane damage if he outspeeds the opponent. After calming the restless spirit of Marowak, Mr. Fuji is saved from some worthless grunts. After saving Mr. Fuji, he gives me a Pokeflute. With this Pokeflute, you can get a guaranteed broken encounter in Snorlax. This thing has amazing bulk and hits like a truck. Such guaranteed encounters is what makes Pokemon FireRed so easy. Another such encounter is Lee the Hitmonlee. In most scenarios, Hitmonchan is better than Hitmonlee because he gets access to the elemental punches. But in Gen 3, due to physical special split making them special moves, Hitmonlee is far superior to Hitmonchan till Gen 3. Next is another rival battle in Silph, and here Jolteon will really help out with a battle since it can handle most of his team. Alakazam does not have a move to hit other than Future Sight, so he also isn't a problem, and Charizard easily goes down with 2 try attacks from Dodrio. Right after this fight, I get a Lapras, which will be very useful in the future. After this is a battle with Giovanni. His Nidorino goes down to 2 secret powers, and Gyarados also had a Pecha Berry in case he gets poisoned. Raihan gets one shot from Hydro Pump and Kangaskhan falls with 2 brick breaks from Hitmonlee. Since Lee's defense is dropped by a Tail Whip twice, I switch to Gyarados on the incoming Nidoqueen and kill it with 2 Hydro Pumps. I am surprised we are landing all these Hydro Pumps. Next I challenge Koga, and this battle was pretty easy as all I needed to do was click Psychic with my Hypno. Muk did try to cause some trouble by setting up Minimize, but Hypno just ignored it and completed its sweep on Koga. After getting access to Surf, we get some amazing encounters like Tentacool and a Magneton, who will be phenomenal in this playthrough. The way I guaranteed Magneton is by repelling with the level 31 Gloom. Oh yeah, right after catching them, Gloom dies to a static electrode self-destructing on it. I don't have the clip for it, but Gloom has done her job, and it's better for us to pass on than to just sit in the box. None of the encounters I caught will be used now though, as Snorlax just sweeps through Sabrina's entire team with Shadow Ball. Shadow Ball can be taught to Snorlax through a TM from Celadon Game Corner. You can sweep Sabrina with any Pokemon that learns Shadow Ball and has a decent attack stat like Rattata. But Snorlax is the best option since it's guaranteed. The next fight is with Blade, but he is also a matter of just some surf from Tentacruel. His Arcanine does try to stall with some Hyper Potions, but we easily overpower his healing with Surfs. The same can be said for Giovanni, but this time he is sweet with Surfs from Lapras, just for a change. I don't even bother leveling Lapras to the level cap due to how easy these last 2 gyms are. Next is another rival fight in Route 22. Magneton one-hits Pidgeot with a Thunderbolt after tanking a weak quick attack, after which he sends Charizard to retaliate back, but gets shut down by Tentacruel. He next sends Alakazam with Psychic, who just uses 2 Calm Minds and goes down to a Shadow Ball. He then sends Raihan, who gets one shot from a Surf, after which his Execute goes down to a Flamethrower from Arcanine. His Gyarados gets walled and killed by Magneton, and that's the rival defeated. I get my final encounter in Victory Road, which was an Onix, so I just kill it and move on. This is the final 6 Pokemon I decided to bring for the Elite Four. After getting the necessary TMs and items, I challenged the Elite Four. First up is Lorelei, who starts off with a Dugong while I send Magneton. On the first turn, Dugong sets up Hail while I use a substitute and start sweeping her with Thunderbolt. The reason we use the substitute is because her Jinx will not get one shot from Thunderbolt and can use a potential Lovely Kiss, which can be countered by a Chesto Berry, but her Lapras also has a Confuse Ray and it also tanks a Thunderbolt. It does not matter though, as Magneton just crits her Lapras. But for some reason Jinx outspeeds Magneton even though they have the level advantage and some speed EVs. It does not matter though, as Jinx just keeps using Ice Punch and goes down to a follow-up Thunderbolt. Second is Bruno. Venusaur starts by knocking out Onix with a Giga Drain, and next comes Hitmonchan, and I switch to Dodrio on a Rock Tomb, lowering my speed. I know he can survive a uppercut, so I go for the kill with Drill Peck, but he just ends up missing the attack. Next Bruno sends Machamp, so I switch to Tentacruel on a Rock Tomb, and due to Clear Body his stats won't be dropped. I set up a barrier and knock out Machamp and Onix, and he sends his last Pokemon Hitmonlee, whose Mega Kick won't kill even on a crit. Ironically, he lands a crit which leaves Tentacruel with a little HP. So Venusaur comes and knocks him with some Giga Drains. The next Elite Four is Agatha, whose first Gengar goes down to 2 Shadow Balls because 1 low rolls. Next she sends Golbat, who just does some damage and goes down with couple of body slams. Since the incoming Arbok intimidates Snorlax, I wanted to switch to Magneton to shake off the Intimidate, but I accidentally switched to Dodrio. It ends up being fine though, as a switch back to Snorlax takes care of the Arbok. Next comes her stronger Gengar, who tries to land a Hypnosis, which luckily misses, and a heal up with a Rest and a Chesto Berry. The Gengar then misses 3 consecutive Hypnosis, so Snorlax can knock it down. The follow-up Haunter lands its first Hypnosis, making me switch to Tentacruel and finishing the battle with some serves. The last Elite Four is Lance, who starts off with his Gyarados, who gets taken down by Magneton. He next sends one of his Dragonairs, and thinking that this was the one with Thunder Wave, I switched to Snorlax to absorb the paralysis, but it ends up not being the one with Thunder Wave. Tentacruel just takes it out with an Ice Beam. He now sends his Dragonair which has Thunder Wave, and for some reason it does not go down to an Ice Beam and paralyzes Tentacruel. In hindsight, I should have given him a Cherry Berry. After tanking a Hyper Beam from Dragonair, Ice Beam knocks it out and he sends his Ace in Dragonite. Thinking that I can survive a Hyper Beam from Dragonite, somehow I go for an Ice Beam. But of course Tentacruel does not tank it. Like, how can it tank a Snorlax just comes and takes his remaining Pokemon out. Pretty dumb mistake on my part, and now my Charizard check is dead. With another dead soul on our backs, we go and challenge the champion, E. He starts the fight with his Pidgeot, who gets one shot with a Thunderbolt after landing a Sand attack. Charizard comes next as it can see a kill with Fire Blast, so I switch to Arcanine on a Fire Blast, who has Flash Fire, so his fire attacks gets boosted. After doing some chip damage with Bite, I use a Flash Fire boosted Overheat, which does massive damage. After which he switches to Rhydon while I switch to Snorlax and they both use Earthquake on each other. I wanted to conserve Snorlax's health, so I pivot to Dodrio on the next Earthquake and to Venusaur on a Rock Tomb, lowering my speed. Even though the speed is lowered, Venusaur outspeeds and one-hits Rhydon while gaining all its health back. Alakazam next comes and sets up Reflect while I switch to Magneton. After tanking a Psychic, I set up a Substitute. The follow-up Thunderbolt does a sizable chunk of Alakazam's health, but I probably should have used Tri Attack there. Nonetheless, I risked a crit as it pays off and Thunderbolt knocks Alakazam. Charizard then comes and due to my low health, he will choose a random move, and it ends up being Slash on Arcanine, which would have not killed Magneton. Pretty weird. I thought Arcanine could be useful later and switch to Snorlax and rush to full health and start spamming Body Slams. Whenever he gets low, he kept healing his Charizard, but it was fine as Body Slam kept paralyzing him after the turn he healed his Charizard. Even if I had not gotten the para, I would have just sacked Snorlax and revenge killed it with Dodrio. His Executor tanks 2 Body Slams and uses Sleep Powder on Snorlax. For some reason, I had forgotten that Shadow Ball existed and was using Body Slams. It does not matter though, as he heals it when I go into Venusaur for some reason. Dodrio comes on a Sleep Powder and with the help of Early Bird gets a one-turn sleep and knocks it with a Drill Peck. As for his Gyarados, I had to wait until it locks itself into trash, which meant I had to sack Dodrio and send out Magneton, who can tank the trash. But it does not matter though, as Magneton outspeeds it for a one-shot, winning us the battle and this Nuzlocke. Maybe I had miscalculated the speed EVs on Magneton or something. Well, this is the final 6 who carried us to the Elite Four. This run was very sloppy in the endgame. This was to be expected though, as I am Nuzlocking after a long amount of time. But from now on you could expect a regular upload schedule which is not as long as an year. So be ready for future challenges. That is if you enjoyed this run. And for some reason, if you did enjoy this run, consider subscribing so you can watch more of this in the future.